let them go out and show off their skills, allow them to show Chad Gable what he's all about.
Yeah, it would be interesting if they actually let the reins off of Chad Gable. It's just, for me, he has so many similarities to Kurt Angle. They should have cashed in on that. Even the fact that he's on a shorter stature, because in the time that Kurt Angle was popular, people were a lot bigger than him. Him standing at 5'10", him being 5'10", he's close to the height of Jericho.
Yeah.
He wasn't as tall as Austin. Austin, I think, stands at 6'2". The Rock, I believe, stands at 6'4". So he was on the shorter end of the spectrum. But yet again, it's, I don't know. If I would have saw this guy come into the business or into my tryout, does pretty good, I'd be looking at him like, that's going to be the next Kurt Angle. Let's get him there.
Yeah.
But no, he's short. Let's make fun of him. Ha ha ha, Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I could. Short G. I heard him using that name, Short G. I'm like, what the hell are y'all thinking? Oh, it's a way to fire him up. I'm like, you have a talent you're wasting.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. And all he's doing is doing job work. I just.
How much of NXT have you watched in the last, I would say, like 3-4 months?
Not as much as you.
Okay. Are you familiar with Velveteen Dream?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think, because, okay, in my opinion, I think he would work very well on the main roster, given his style. Do you think he would work well on the main roster?
I'm a toss-up on that one. It's like, I would say give him a try. They could have done that for Survivor Series, but that's just, it is what it is.
They could have done a lot of things for Survivor Series. This one, I'm not confident this one's going to be good.
Yes, they should have put NXT in there. But to answer your more question, he has a toss-up. It's just to put him doing something on there. I think you would have a chance. I mean, put him to the right people for now, obviously. His NXT is obviously different than Raw or SmackDown. And, there's a chance. I mean, I think he has a chance at it. Right matches, right people. But, I think he's got something to offer, and evolve his character a little more, too.
Right.
But, I guess you give him a shot.
And I'm sorry, I just thought of something else. You know how we were talking about before with WWE bringing back some WCW properties, and I told you I was under the belief that was Triple H's doing, given that's an NXT.
Yeah.
I read something a couple days ago that apparently the Elimination Chamber became a thing because Triple H wanted to do a War Games match, and Vince McMahon didn't want to use it. So a workaround is that him and Eric Bischoff came up with the Elimination Chamber. Basically, Vince McMahon didn't want to use something old of WCW's.
Which is not surprising.
It's not surprising, but it kind of reaffirms the fact that it seems that Triple H has a very high respect for the properties that WCW came up with, and he's using it in his own way. And honestly, their War Games match they put on in NXT, a lot of those were really, really good.
Yeah. You talk about respect for the, I think obviously there is a high regard respect for that, but I also believe that he knows it's good business. And I'll just say it right now, the old slogan what's best for business. And, I think he knew that it's going to be good for business. They're not going to use it on WWE. And so why not bring on NXT?
Right.
I think he's doing fine. Like he knows that fans would like to see it, and I have this product that people love, so why not? And I don't know. I mean, I know he has obviously respect factor with Vince, but it's more or less, if Vince don't want to use it on Raw or SmackDown, and he thinks it's too old, so to speak. So I wonder how he was able to tell Vince, or ask Vince, I should say, hey, I want to use this. I wonder, what's your change? Obviously, it's not Raw or SmackDown, so what's the big change? Is that it? Hey, just like how did he talk him into it, so to speak. But yeah.
Well, and just kind of looking at how Triple H has treated NXT, because there's some things that I feel like a toss back to WCW, especially the high regard for the smaller guys and having kind of a cruiserweight, not necessarily a cruiserweight division, but showcasing cruiserweight people.
Yeah.
And he's been very respectful to Starrcade. He's been very respectful to War Games. He's been very respectful to Dusty Rhodes. So that tells me that Triple H values those properties.
Oh yeah, he has a lot of respect for the business, and that's where I have respect in with Triple H. I mean, he has respect for the traditions. That's
right.
What happened at one point years ago. I mean, I know people that are saying that politicking in the back. I'm not talking about politicking back scheme. I'm talking about that's what we're saying, the respect factor of what happened at one point years ago.
Yeah, so like when it comes to Triple H as a competitor, especially in the where he was deciding to bury basically everybody, I was not a fan of him, and that's what he did there. Even though I did like Triple H and kind of just before that, but him as a leader, I absolutely think Triple H is probably one of the better guys out there, especially if when Vince is done with WWE. I kind of have a strong gut feeling that when Triple H does take over, that he's going to implement a lot of things that I know as a fan I would like to see, maybe from not necessarily WCW archives, but kind of similar in the way that WCW carried themselves, and basically WWE having a main cruiserweight division, having some of these event names be utilized in the WWE calendar. Kind of like you and I discussed previously, getting rid of stupid gimmick pay-per-view names like TLC, Elimination Chamber, things like that, getting rid of those and just, all right, well, now this one's going to be Halloween Havoc. This one's now going to be Super Brawl. This one's going to be Bash at the Beach. This one's going to be the Great American Bash. Fill up the calendar with old properties. Honestly, and there's WWE ones I want them to bring back. No Mercy I want back. Unforgiven I want back. Even Bad Blood. Bad Blood would not be a bad pay-per-view name to use.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially, honestly, if like they're going to bring back Bad Blood, it would, if I would put on the calendar, because usually WrestleMania falls in April, I would have that be the May or June pay-per-view. If you want to rehash, because WWE loves rehashing old matches. So, like, if you have a match that went on in WrestleMania, but there wasn't a resolution to it, do it at Bad Blood as like a rubber match, if you will.
The thing is that I would like to see also a Backlash back, honestly.
Yes, Backlash. Hell in a Cell needs to go. Elimination Chamber needs to go. TLC needs to go. Honestly, I hate Fastlane. I
was never a Fastlane fan, and Backlash was always cool because it obviously took place traditionally at one point years ago. It took place the month after WrestleMania. It was always good because you got to, it's Backlash, so what happened to the Super Bowl, so to speak, and it was I always admired that viewpoint on their stance with that pay-per-view. You get a Backlash and a Bad Blood Falling, or however they want to do it. I didn't like it when you moved Backlash years later till near around the fall time. I was like, that just didn't make a whole lot of sense, my viewpoint. But nice to see some of these old pay-per-views come back. It'd be nice.
Right, and I'm sorry, when you said Super Brawl, it made me think of Super Bowl. That's a prime example, because TLC usually takes place right around February, if I remember correctly. Or Elimination Chamber.
Actually, I did say Super Bowl.
Okay, you did say. I thought you said. I wasn't positive. But whichever one.
Last time WrestleMania, that being their Super Bowl. That's what I meant by that. Super Bowl took place in January in WCW.
Right. But January is Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I know. So
There
it has to
and
take place.
I think March is Fastlane, since April is WrestleMania. I know that they've done TLC in February, but I can't remember what they had in February this year. But February, because the Super Bowl is in February, having a pay-per-view called Super Brawl in February would not be a bad idea.
They did TLC in December.
Right, but they have done it, and I know for a fact they've done it in February in the past. That one bounces around the calendar. Only reason I remember is right after Royal Rumble. It would have been Royal Rumble 15 or 16. It was the one that Kevin Nash came back in. What year was that?
I don't know what year it was, but it's been several years.
There was a Royal Rumble where Kevin Nash came back, and immediately after, Triple H and Kevin Nash had a match at TLC. It was right after the whole CM Punk getting clotheslined by Kevin Nash. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do, but that didn't happen in February, man.
I'm 90% sure it did. Either way, like I've said, whichever one it replaces, I don't care which one it replaces. Just February. Put it in February because that's when the Super Bowl is. and put Great American Bash in July.
That's where it belongs, and that's where it needs to be, and that's where they should bring it back.
So what month is SummerSlam? SummerSlam's August, isn't it?
August, yeah.
So we could put Bash at the Beach in May. Man, May because it's in the summer.
Well, May or June.
Yeah.
We can do it in May. It starts late May, summer, so it's fine too.
We're just completely redoing WWE's calendar.
It needs to be done.
So where are we gonna put Great Balls of Fire?
I wasn't even a big fan of that, man. That's terrible.
I wasn't either. Do you remember the logo? It looked like two testicles.
Yeah, I just where did they come up with the Great Ball? I mean, it's cool. I'm glad to use the old song for it, honestly.
Right.
Yeah, I just was not a fan of that setup, but I guess they were just trying to do something different, I guess, in their mind. And there's you go look at WCW. Their papers were dumb when they were in 2000, 2001, especially, and it's like it's kind of like it's getting that way. At least the name form is kind of getting that way for WWE.
Well, and that I'm sorry, but that's when Vince Russo was the head of creative, and
I know that Halloween.
Yeah. They made Halloween Havoc look like Judgment Day, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
But Sin was not a bad name, and Greed was not a bad name. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I wasn't a big fan of Sin. Greed was not. I mean, I understand the concept. I just wasn't. Greed was.
New Blood wasn't a bad one either. I would actually, for New Blood, I wouldn't mind NXT using that as one of their takeover names.
Well, that makes sense because they're up and coming.
Right. Is there? Sounds odd, but I kind of hit a wall and things to discuss. Is there anything else you want to discuss this episode?
Not really. Yes, we're fair. So, only I ever asked you this.
What?
What do you think about Uso joining up with Reigns?
I dig the storyline.
Yeah,
I dig it 100%. I think it's an interesting take on it. It's something different. I kind of want to see it develop more, and I kind of want them to pick up Tamina, because Tamina's not doing anything. And they are related. I don't remember how they're related.
Tamina don't ever do anything.
Well, that's the thing. So like,
everything.
I don't want Nia Jax to be a part of it. Nothing against Nia, but I just don't want her to be a part of it. I want her to be by herself. But Tamina, I know, is tied to the family in some way. And to me,